Have you ever imagined finding an anniversary invitation on your husband's iPad, but the sender is his own first cousin? Watch how Bella elegantly destroys this incestuous affair in front of their entire extended family. That night, the cold aspen air seeped through the vents of the master bedroom, bringing a thin mist that coated the window panes. On the king-sized bed, David slept soundly. His breathing was even his back, rising and falling peacefully, the picture of a hard-working husband finally at rest. Bella, lying beside him, was still awake, finishing the last chapter of a novel. She savored the quiet of the night, a peace that had defined her 5 years of marriage. To Bella, her life was nearly flawless. David was a successful managing director at a private equity firm who always treated her like a queen. Though he was often busy with a packed schedule of meetings and business trips, David never forgot her birthday, always answered her texts promptly, and looked at her with a gaze full of love. Everything felt secure. Too secure. The silence of the night was suddenly broken by a bluish-white glow from the nightstand on David's side. The screen of his iPad Pro lit up. Bella initially ignored it, assuming it was just a stream of work emails or notifications from a group chat coming in after hours. But the screen didn't dim. Instead, it vibrated softly again, flashing brightly several times. Something was either syncing a large amount of data or a persistent alarm was demanding attention. Annoyed and worried the light would wake David, who had to lead a board meeting the next morning, Bella slipped out from under the covers. She walked slowly, barefoot, around the bed. Her intention was simple: turn off the screen or switch the device to Do Not Disturb. But, as her slender fingers touched the cold screen, her eyes unintentionally caught a pop-up notification from the native Apple Calendar app, which had just perfectly synced from her husband's iCloud account. Bella's chest tightened. A strange, cold, and sharp premonition shot into her gut without warning. Displayed on the screen was a reminder for the end of the month tucked neatly and conspicuously between blocks of time labeled Board of Directors Meeting and Site Visit. The event's title was written in plain text, as if mocking her sanity. Hour 1, Year Anniversary Dinner, Bella frowned. Their wedding anniversary was in August, still 6 months away. Was David planning another surprise? The anniversary of their first date? No, that wasn't it either. The date held no significance in the history of their relationship. Driven by a curiosity now laced with the adrenaline of suspicion, Bella swiped the screen and opened the event details. The iPad was unlocked. David had been reading business news on it before falling asleep and hadn't hit the lock button. The screen displayed the event details. Location, L'Étoile, the most exclusive and private fine dining restaurant in the city center, famous for its strict privacy policy. Time 7 p.m. And in the section at the very bottom under attendees and organizer, an email address was listed that instantly stopped the blood flow in Bella's veins. Chloe Harrison at iCloud. Calm Bella froze. The cold air in the room suddenly felt like it was choking her. Her brain scrambled almost desperately to process the letters forming that name. Chloe. There couldn't be another Chloe in their innermost circle. Chloe Harrison was David's first cousin, the daughter of her mother-in-law's younger sister. Chloe was a widow with one child, having lost her husband in a car accident 2 years ago. During her long period of mourning, the entire family had sympathized with her, especially David, who always said he felt responsible as the eldest male cousin of their generation, to protect and support her. Bella herself had been the one who most often cooked meals for Chloe, listened to her sorrows late into the night, and bought expensive toys for her son so he wouldn't feel the absence of a father figure. She had treated Chloe like her own sister. How was it possible that the email of the woman who had sobbed in her arms a year ago was now sending an anniversary dinner invitation with heart emojis to her husband's personal calendar? This has to be a mistake. A system error, Bella mumbled, her voice trembling, trying to deny the reality splayed before her. Her hands began to shake violently. She glanced at David, still sleeping soundly, a picture of innocence. The man looked so peaceful, but the sleek device in her hand was a silent witness to something deeply foul and rotten. Unable to bear the pounding of her heart, which felt like it would break through her ribs, Bella unplugged the iPad and carried it out of the bedroom. She tiptoed down the wooden staircase to David's home office on the first floor. She went inside, locked the door from within, and switched on a dim desk lamp. Bella collapsed into her husband's oversized leather chair, her hands as cold as ice. She stared at the iPad screen again. Whatever respect she had for the boundaries of marital privacy had evaporated tonight. She needed the absolute truth, no matter how much it would tear her sanity apart. She began to scroll through the calendar app with fast, aggressive finger movements. Jumping to previous months, she cross-referenced the schedules. January 15, client meeting C, the Street Regis. Bella remembered that day. David had claimed he had to entertain an important client from New York until late. February 28, site survey C Vale. Again, the letter C. Every time there was an out-of-town trip or a late-night meeting marked with a C in parentheses, Bella's memory was pulled back to the days when Chloe had also posted Instagram stories from chic coffee shops or hotel rooms with the caption, "A little me time." Bella exited the calendar and opened the iCloud drive. She knew David's character well. He was a structured, methodical man who never let his data become disorganized. Bella searched for a suspicious folder. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but the instinct of a wounded wife has its own sharpness. She navigated to a folder named Archived Projects and found a hidden password-protected subfolder. Bella typed in David's birthday, her own birthday, their wedding anniversary. Nothing. With trembling fingers and bated breath, Bella typed in Chloe's birthday. Click. The folder named Mountain Retreats opened, and in that instant, Bella's world shattered into a million pieces. Hundreds of high-resolution photos and videos filled the screen. Photos of David and Chloe in places Bella had never known about. They weren't posing like a caring cousin and his sister. They were locked in passionate embraces, kissing wildly and lying naked together on the same hotel beds. There were photos of Chloe wearing a black silk lingerie set that Bella vaguely remembered seeing on a credit card statement in David's email. At the time, David had explained it was a joint gift for a departing HR director at his firm. Beyond the nauseating photos, there were dozens of screenshots of iMessage conversations deliberately saved by David as if they were trophies. Bella opened one dated 2 weeks ago. "Chloe babe, thanks for this month's transfer. I finally got that Chanel bag I wanted. Love you. Can't wait for our anniversary next month. Miss being in your arms. David, anything for you, darling. Lucky for us, Bella is so easy to fool. She actually believes this is for your son's college fund and insurance. She's so naive. See you on our day, my love." Bella read every word, every punctuation mark, her eyes wide and unseeing. College fund. Bella is so naive. How stupid she had been. All this time. It was Bella who had urged David to set aside their money to guarantee an education for Chloe's fatherless son. In reality, her compassion had been exploited to finance the hedonistic lifestyle of a homewrecker. Their hard-earned money had flowed to designer bags from Paris and to rent luxury hotel rooms where these two blood relatives betrayed her. An overwhelming wave of nausea hit Bella's stomach, as if an invisible hand were squeezing her insides. She clamped her hands over her mouth, shot up from the chair, its wheels screeching, and ran unsteadily towards the guest bathroom down the hall. She fell to her knees before the toilet, vomiting until only bitter, burning bile was left. Bella leaned weakly against the ice-cold tile wall. Her defenses were destroyed. Tears finally broke free, streaming down her cheeks in silence. She cried until her shoulders shook her breath, catching in her throat, her chest so tight it felt as if a sledgehammer had just struck her ribs. This betrayal was too layered, too depraved for a sane mind to process. If David had cheated with a coworker, a secretary, or a stranger from a dating app, it would have been enough to break her heart. But this was Chloe, his own blood cousin. The woman who sat at the same table during Thanksgiving dinner. The woman who kissed David's mother's hand with feigned reverence. The woman who had stayed over at their house, sleeping in the guest room, and hugged Bella while crying, begging for guidance because she felt so broken as a widow. They were blood relatives. They were born from the wombs of two sisters. This relationship didn't just betray a sacred wedding vow. It desecrated family honor, spat on religious and social norms, and tore Bella's sense of humanity to shreds. How filthy, how disgusting to imagine two people who grew up together, running around their grandmother's yard, now sharing moans and sweat in the same bed behind everyone's back. In that dim, quiet bathroom, Bella felt like the world's biggest fool, a tragic extra in a disgusting play directed by her own husband. All the sincere love she had given Chloe was repaid with a poisoned dagger straight to the heart. All of David's good morning kisses were just a cover for his rottenness. Bella mourned the 5 years of her life, which she now realized were built on a foundation of illusion and filth. Time crawled by. The pale morning sun began to filter through the frosted glass of the bathroom window, signaling the break of dawn. In the distance, the faint chirping of birds could be heard, a stark contrast to the silent devastation that had just scorched this grand, luxurious house. Bella slowly opened her stinging eyes. She propped herself up against the sink, and stared at her reflection in the large mirror. Her face was ashen, her eyes swollen and red with visible blood vessels. Her hair was a mess. She looked pathetic, the portrait of a woman who had just been flayed alive by the people she trusted most. With a trembling hand, she turned on the faucet, letting the cold aspen water splash over her face again and again, washing away the nausea, the shock, the despair. As she looked back at her wet reflection, something shifted inside her. The cracks in her heart hardened. The fragile, broken, questioning look in her eyes vanished completely. The tears of sorrow had dried up, instantly mutating into a block of anger as cold as the deep sea. Her sadness had transformed into a sharp, calculated resolve. "You think you're so clever," she hissed at the mirror, her voice low and raspy but radiating a deadly threat. "You think you can act like animals and get away with it at my expense." She would not cry again. Her tears were spent on that bastard and his parasitic widow. She would not scream, run upstairs, wake David and smash the iPad in his face. Attacking them now would only give them time to prepare. Confronting them quietly would only allow David to manipulate the situation, use his financial power, or worse, find a way to silence her to protect the reputation of their family, who were fanatics about their social standing. The family would surely force Bella to cover up this incestuous disgrace and make peace to prevent a public scandal. Bella would not let that happen. Breaking down alone in a corner was not an option for her. If her life and dignity had to be shattered tonight, she would make damn sure David and Chloe were shattered with them. This wouldn't be a quiet divorce. They both had to be razed to the ground. They had to be stripped naked and shamed right in front of the people who respected them the most, their own parents and the entire Harrison clan. Bella straightened her clothes and walked back to the office with a firm stride. With the precision of an executioner, she transferred all the evidence, hundreds of photos, videos, bank transfer, histories, calendar schedules, and conversation screenshots to a flash drive and a newly created encrypted anonymous email account. After ensuring all her ammunition was securely copied to her own digital vault, Bella meticulously erased her tracks on the iPad. She made sure the folder was locked again, the calendar app was running in the background, and returned the iPad to its exact original position on the nightstand, down to the millimeter-perfect placement of the charging cable. She slipped back under the warm covers, turning her back on the man who now felt dirtier than trash in her eyes. Bella closed her eyes, regulating her breathing to a calm, normal rhythm. Inside her head, which was now working like a calculating machine, a grand stage of execution was being designed. An anniversary party would indeed happen, and Bella would be the most gracious hostess. She would ensure the entire family was present to deliver the most devastating congratulations of their lives. The game had just begun, and Bella was in complete control. The morning crept in slowly. The aroma of freshly brewed Arabica coffee filled the clean monochrome kitchen, masking the scent of rot Bella had uncovered the night before. At the stove, Bella flipped an omelet with mechanical movements. She hadn't slept a second. Behind the thin layer of makeup and the heavy concealer she'd applied under her eyes, her brain was working like a tireless machine. Heavy footsteps descended the wooden stairs. David. He was already dressed in a slim-fit light blue shirt and a silk tie radiating the aura of a successful executive respected throughout Aspen. "Morning, honey," David greeted with his signature husky voice. He walked up behind Bella, wrapped his arms around her waist, and kissed the top of her head. In the past, that touch would have made her stomach flutter. This morning it took every ounce of her mental and muscular control not to flinch or push him away. In her mind, the lips that had just kissed her were the same ones that had devoured Chloe. Bella's skin crawled with disgust. Yet she forced a small smile as she turned. "Morning, babe. Your coffee is ready," Bella replied, her tone nearly perfect, soft, and compliant. David sat at the dining table, sipping his coffee while opening his tablet to the business news. As he chewed his breakfast, he cleared his throat. "Oh, by the way, Belle, I forgot to tell you last night. On the 28th at the end of the month, I don't think I can make it for dinner." Bella's heart skipped a beat. The 28th. Execution day. "Oh, why, babe? It's unusual for you to be busy at the end of the month," Bella asked, tilting her head with an innocent expression. "There's a last-minute meeting with some investors from Denver. They want to be taken out for a nice dinner to discuss the new ski resort expansion project. I'll probably be home very late. Or, if it gets too late, I might have to stay at a hotel near the venue so I can head straight to the site visit the next morning," David explained at length. The lie rolled off his tongue so smoothly without a pause or a hint of nervousness. He was a natural. Bella looked straight into her husband's eyes. There was no guilt there. Only manipulation. "Oh, I see. Well, that's fine, babe. The most important thing is that work goes well. Just take care of yourself, okay? Don't forget your vitamins, Bella said, stroking the back of his hand. Enjoy your last few days, David, because the 28th will be the longest day of your life. Thanks, honey. You're the most understanding wife a guy could ask for. David smiled, relieved, thinking his lie had been swallowed whole. Bella just smiled back, her mask perfectly in place. From this moment on, there would be no more tears, only a game of chess. And Bella was certain David had just made a fatal move. 3 days after that night of discovery, it was time for the Harrison family's monthly brunch. The event was always hosted in rotation, and this month, it was at the grand home of Bella's mother-in-law. The house was filled with the buzz of dozens of family members, the clinking of porcelain teacups, and chatter about jewelry business and European vacations. Bella arrived wearing an elegant beige midi dress, looking graceful and poised. As she stepped inside, her mother-in-law immediately greeted her with a warm hug, a display of false pride for the other relatives. "Here she is, my favorite daughter-in-law," her mother-in-law praised. "David is so lucky to have a patient and capable wife like you, Belle." Bella smiled politely. "Thank you, Mom. David is a wonderful husband, too. So wonderful he's sharing his seed with your own niece." Soon after, the very person Bella wanted to strangle to death walked into the living room. Chloe. She was wearing a modest floral tunic that emphasized a motherly and simple image holding her young son's hand. Upon entering, Chloe immediately kissed the hands of the elders with a humble demeanor, reaping lurks of pity and sympathy from the aunts and uncles. "Chloe, darling, you're looking so much better," one of the aunts remarked. Chloe smiled shyly. "Thank you, Auntie. It's all thanks to the family's prayers. I'm slowly getting back on my feet for my son's sake." Chloe's eyes then met Bella's. With light steps, the widow approached her. Chloe took both of Bella's hands and squeezed them tightly, her eyes deliberately welling up. "Bella, oh my gosh, I've missed you so much. You look a little pale. Are you tired from taking care of David?" Chloe said, her voice soft and melodramatic. Bella looked at the face in front of her. Around Chloe's neck was a white gold chain with a small diamond pendant Bella had never seen before. It must have been a gift bought with the son's insurance money David had sent last month. The rage burning in Bella's chest felt like it was about to explode and incinerate the room. She imagined grabbing a fruit knife from the table and slashing that deceptively innocent face. But Bella's self-control was made of steel. She took a short breath and squeezed Chloe's hands back just as tightly. "I'm fine, Chloe. Just a little sleep-deprived from managing the house," Bella replied calmly, forcing a sincere smile that made her cheeks feel numb. "How about you? That's a nice new bag. It looks expensive." "Real leather, isn't it?" Chloe's eyes widened for a split second, a flash of panic before she regained her composure. The black Chanel bag she had placed on the sofa across the room had apparently caught Bella's eye. "Oh, this," she giggled nervously. "A friend helped me with some capital to start a small online boutique, so I bought this as a little reward for myself. That's wonderful that you're becoming independent. David will be so happy to hear that. You know how he's always thinking about you and your son's future," Bella said coolly. "Checkmate." Chloe swallowed hard and quickly changed the subject, calling her son over to get away from Bella. Watching Chloe's retreating back, Bella drained her chamomile tea. Her disgust had reached its peak. The extended family constantly praising Chloe's innocence and David's noble heart made Bella feel like she was in the middle of a revolting circus. Laugh now, Bella thought. Next month, none of you will have a face left to show the world. Bella knew that anger without legal preparation would only make her the loser. In the eyes of the law, emotional betrayal is worthless without material proof. And in a wealthy divorce, the unprepared party gets wiped out. On Monday morning, after David left for the office, Bella drove to an elite law firm in Denver, a 2-hour drive from Aspen, to ensure none of her husband's acquaintances would spot her. She had an appointment with Mr. Sterling, a senior divorce attorney renowned for being merciless in winning marital asset cases. Inside the soundproofed office, Bella handed over the flash drive containing all the copied data from David's iPad. Mr. Sterling, a typically stoic middle-aged man, actually took off his glasses and rubbed his face after seeing the evidence of the incestuous affair. "This is remarkably brazen and foolish at the same time," Mr. Sterling muttered, looking at his laptop screen. "Mrs. Harrison, with this proof of communication, documented fund transfers, and these photos, your position is incredibly strong. Legally, this could be a criminal matter if you chose to report it. But more importantly, we can use this as leverage to compel your husband to surrender his assets without a fight in family court." "I don't care about jail time for now, Mr. Sterling," Bella said, her voice like ice. What I want is absolute annihilation. I want him to walk away from this marriage with no dignity left. And I want to ensure that the shares in the med spa we started together, but which was funded with my family's capital, do not go to him. Not 1%. Mr. Sterling nodded, understanding. He began to strategize. Over the next 2 weeks, under her lawyer's guidance, Bella quietly moved her personal assets. She withdrew funds from their joint accounts in increments, citing renovations for her parents' house and business expansion. She also secured the deed to the house, which was under her name. Furthermore, Mr. Sterling recommended a private investigator named Rick. Rick's job was simple but crucial: to tail David and Chloe whenever they had a scheduled meeting before the 28th, and to document their physical interactions as additional evidence to corroborate the digital data. Every night as David slept beside her, Bella's phone would receive reports from Rick. A photo of David picking up Chloe on a quiet side street. A video of them kissing in the car. A reservation bill in David's name at a boutique hotel. Each new piece of evidence no longer made Bella cry. They were just more ammunition, more bricks she was laying to build the tombstone for their marriage. Meanwhile, the thick divorce petition was finalized by Mr. Sterling, complete with a demand for an asset division heavily skewed in Bella's favor due to the infidelity clause and misappropriation of family funds. The document was already signed by Bella, just waiting for one date to be filed with the court: March 1st, the day after the anniversary dinner from hell. With her assets secure and her lawyer on standby, Bella could now focus on her main event. Bella visited a premium stationery shop and ordered 20 custom-made elegant invitations, navy blue velvet envelopes with gold calligraphy. The title was simple yet alluring: a surprise family celebration for David Harrison. The reason Bella gave was perfectly plausible. The family businesses were doing well, her mother-in-law's health was improving, and it was the perfect time to gather. Inside the invitation, the details were clearly printed. L'Étoile Restaurant, the Orchid VIP Room. Date February 28, 6:30 p.m. Dress code formal elegant. And a special note. Please keep this event a secret from David, as it is part of his surprise. That last sentence was the key to Bella's entire deception. By asking the family to keep it from David, she ensured her husband would never know that his entire family would be in the same building on the night he was celebrating the anniversary of his affair. Bella delivered the invitations personally to the family elders. She first visited her in-laws. "Mom, Dad," Bella said, handing them the velvet-clad invitation. "I wanted to host a family dinner. It's been a while since we all got together at a nice restaurant, especially with David's career doing so well. But please don't tell David. I want to surprise him there." Her mother-in-law's face lit up with pride. "Oh, Bella, you shouldn't have gone to all this trouble. Of course we'll be there. David will be so touched to have such a thoughtful wife." Her father-in-law, a stern man who valued family propriety, nodded in agreement. "A fine idea, Bella. I'll make sure my brothers and the other cousins come as well, including Aunt Carol and Chloe. It would be good for Chloe to get out and enjoy a nice meal," he added. "Yes, poor Chloe rarely gets to go out," Bella added, baiting the hook. Aunt Carol was her mother-in-law's sister, Chloe's mother. "Of course I'll call Carol myself, and tell her and Chloe they must dress their best for the occasion," her mother-in-law said enthusiastically. Bella looked down slightly to hide the cynical smile spreading across her lips. The bait had been taken. The big fish were slowly swimming into her net. A week before day, Bella made her final visit to L'Étoile. The restaurant had a classic European style with marble pillars and dim, intimate crystal lighting. Bella met with the manager. Armed with the information from the iPad, Bella knew David had reserved table 8 inches, the romantic main dining area. "Good afternoon, I'm Bella Harrison, David Harrison's wife," Bella stated with an air of elegant authority. The manager checked his tablet. "Ah, yes, Mrs. Harrison. Mr. Harrison has a reservation for the 28th. The manager hesitated. The notes in the system usually indicated an anniversary, and male guests often brought women other than their wives to this particular spot. But seeing Bella's convincing high society demeanor, he didn't dare ask further. "Here's the thing," Bella said, cutting through his hesitation. "My husband reserved table 8 for our special occasion, but I'm planning a huge surprise for him. I'd like to invite our entire family to catch him in the act." Bella smiled sweetly. "To surprise him. I need the Orchid private room for the same date and time. I know table 8 is located right next to the folding wall of the Orchid VIP room." "That's correct, ma'am," the manager nodded. The Orchid room is separated by a thick, carved wooden partition and velvet curtains from the main dining area where table 8 is. "Perfect," Bella hissed. "I'll rent the room. Prepare your best set menu for 20 people. And I have one special request. When I give the signal at exactly 7 p.m., I want your staff to open that partition completely. I want this surprise to be very, very clear from my husband's table. The manager, though he might have sensed something was amiss from Bella's cold gaze, couldn't refuse the wad of cash Bella placed on the table as an additional discretion fee and tip for special services. Of course, Mrs. Harrison. Everything will be prepared according to your instructions. The partition will be opened at precisely 7 p.m. Bella walked out of L'Etoile, her chest feeling light. The evening breeze blew through her hair. All the pieces were in place. The stage was set. The main actors had bought their own tickets, and the VIP audience had confirmed their attendance. It was just a matter of counting down the days until the night the vaunted Harrison name would be crushed under Bella's high heels. There was no turning back. February 28th would be an anniversary to remember, not just for David and Chloe, but for their entire family tree. The final act of vengeance was about to begin. February 28th finally arrived. Since dawn, the aspen air had felt colder than usual, but inside Bella's chest, a furnace was burning quietly. That morning, in front of the bedroom mirror, David straightened his silk tie with a little hum. He sprayed on his favorite Tom Ford cologne a little more than usual. The musky, woody scent filled the air. Bella, sitting on the edge of the bed, pretending to read, recorded every detail of her husband's lie with sharp eyes. "You smell amazing, babe. Meeting investors from Denver requires this much fragrance, huh?" Bella teased gently, her tone sounding like a proud wife's compliment to David's ears. David grinned at his reflection. "You know it, honey. First impressions are everything in business. Oh, I've packed a change of clothes in a small suitcase. If the meeting drags on, I'll just check into a hotel nearby so I'm not exhausted driving back. You'll be okay sleeping alone tonight, right?" Bella stood up, walked over to David, and straightened his suit collar. "Of course, babe. Just focus on your work tonight. Give it your all. I'll be praying it all goes smoothly." David kissed Bella's forehead tenderly, a traitor's kiss. He then grabbed his small suitcase and walked out of the room without looking back, striding toward his own destruction with a wide smile and a light step. In the evening, as the sun began to set behind the mountains, Bella prepared herself. She pushed aside the soft-colored dresses she usually wore to please her mother-in-law. Tonight, Bella was no longer the compliant daughter-in-law. She was the executioner. Bella wore a knee-length dress in a dark maroon color with an elegant but intimidating V neckline. Her hair was swept up in a neat bun showcasing her long neck. Her makeup was sharp, her lipstick matching her dress, and a pair of single diamond earrings adorned her ears. She looked stunning, lethal, and untouchable. At 6:15 p.m., Bella arrived at L'Etoile. The manager greeted her with a respectful bow and led her to the Orchid VIP room. The room was lavish. A long table draped in a crisp white tablecloth was decorated with a centerpiece of fresh white lilies. On one side of the room was the classic carved wooden partition that separated them from the main dining area. Bella checked the high-resolution mini-projector she had entrusted to the staff earlier. It was hidden behind a large potted plant aimed directly at a clean white wall in the main dining area right behind table 8. All cables were perfectly connected to the phone in Bella's hand via a wireless connection. Half an hour later, the VIP guests began to arrive. Bella's in-laws came first. Her father-in-law wore a handsome silk shirt while her mother-in-law wore a modern dress with conspicuous gold jewelry. "Bella, darling. Wow, this place is magnificent," her mother-in-law praised, kissing her on both cheeks. "Where's David? He's going to be so shocked to see us all here." "He's still on his way, Mom. We'll wait for my signal, okay?" Bella replied with a sweet smile, gesturing for them to take the seats of honor. One by one, the members of the Harrison clan filled the room. Uncles, aunts, cousins, and finally Aunt Carol, Chloe's mother, entered with a radiant smile. "Oh, Bella, sorry, I'm a bit late. The traffic was a nightmare." "No problem at all, Aunt Carol. Please have a seat." "Where's Chloe? Why didn't she come with you?" Bella asked, her innocent tone carefully crafted to fish for information she already knew. Aunt Carol sighed, her expression a mix of slight disappointment and understanding. "Oh, you know Chloe. She had to cancel at the last minute. She said she suddenly had a meeting with a supplier for her little online business at a hotel across town." "You know how it is, Bella. Young people these days are so driven to build their own businesses. I can only support her. Poor thing, trying to make a living for her son." "A meeting, you say? That's wonderful." "I hope her business goes well tonight," Bella replied. Her words were met with a proud nod from Aunt Carol. No one in the room noticed the deadly smile playing on Bella's lips. The time was 6:55 p.m. The waiters began serving appetizers, escargot, and truffle salads. The Orchid VIP room was filled with laughter and warm conversation. The Harrison family was thoroughly enjoying the night, celebrating David's success. Bella's father-in-law raised his water glass. "I am so proud of David. His career is soaring, and he has an incredibly understanding wife like you, Bella. It's rare to find a wife who would go to the trouble of planning a secret celebration like this." "That's right," Aunt Carol chimed in. "Our family has always been blessed. We support each other, we protect our good name." Bella glanced at her watch. The second hand was approaching 12. 7 p.m. Her heart beat with a slow, steady rhythm. The adrenaline made her mind crystal clear. She rose from her seat, picked up an empty champagne flute, and tapped it gently with a silver spoon. Ting, ting, ting. The sound immediately silenced the room. 20 pairs of eyes from the Harrison family turned to her full of anticipation, waiting for the hostess to speak. "Dad, Mom, aunts, uncles, and all my beloved family," Bella began, her voice clear and calm, yet carrying a strange firmness. "Thank you for being here tonight. As the invitation said, tonight is a celebration, a special surprise for David." The family clapped softly, their faces beaming. Bella gave a subtle glance to the manager, who stood stiffly in the corner near the lever to open the partition. He gave a curt nod, signaling that the staff on the other side had cleared the area. "For the 5 years of my marriage," Bella continued, walking slowly towards the carved wooden partition, "I thought I knew my husband inside and out. I thought I knew exactly who David Harrison was. But it turns out David has been keeping a huge secret, a personal achievement he never shared with any of us." Bella's mother-in-law smiled widely, whispering to her husband, "He must be getting promoted to CEO. Tonight David has no idea we are here, because right now, he is celebrating that secret achievement in the room next door," Bella said, her tone beginning to change, losing its warmth replaced by an icy chill. "And I want you, Dad, Mom, and especially you, Aunt Carol, to see for yourselves what kind of surprise David has prepared. Please pay close attention." Bella turned to the manager and gave a single deadly nod. "Open it." The manager and 2 waiters turned the lever. A soft mechanical click was followed by the smooth sound of wheels on marble. Slowly but surely, the 10-foot tall carved wooden wall folded and slid to the side like the curtain of a grand theater. As the partition opened, the romantic jazz music from the restaurant's live band flowed into the VIP room. The air, which had been filled with the aroma of food, now mingled with the scent of perfume and red wine from the main dining area. The Orchid VIP room was no longer enclosed. One side was now wide open, offering an unobstructed view of the dim, exclusive main dining area, and right in front of them, no more than 15 feet from the head of their table, was Table 8. The scene at Table 8 was like a tragically ironic painting. In the middle of the table was a crystal vase filled with dozens of blood-red roses, glowing under the dim candlelight. Sitting with his back to the partition was a man in an elegant navy suit. From his posture, the shape of his head, and his suit, everyone in the VIP room instantly recognized him. It was David. Across from David sat a woman with her back to the main entrance, her face fully visible to the newly opened room. She was wearing a black silk evening gown that clung to her body, revealing a low-cut neckline. Her long hair was swept to one side. The woman was laughing coquettishly, her slender hand, adorned with a diamond ring, extended across the table, held tightly in both of David's hands. David leaned forward, gazing at her with utter adoration. Their conversation was just audible enough to drift into the now dead-silent VIP room. "Thank you so much, babe. I love the flowers," the woman in the black dress said in a syrupy, sweet voice that was all too familiar. "Are you sure we won't get a call from Bella?" David chuckled, rubbing the back of her hand with his thumb. "Bella's fast asleep at home, darling. I told you I'm in a meeting in Denver. Tonight is just for us. Happy first anniversary, Chloe." The woman smiled shyly, leaning her face closer to David's. It was Chloe, the innocent widow who had an excuse about a supplier meeting. Aunt Carol's pride and joy, David's own first cousin. For the first 10 seconds, time seemed to stop in the Orchid VIP room. Gravity felt absent. The human brain needs a fraction of a second to process the rational, but far longer to digest a reality that fundamentally defies logic and sanity. Bella's father-in-law was frozen in his chair, his eyes wide as if he'd seen a ghost. His wife's hand, which had been reaching for her teacup, hovered in midair, her mouth agape, unable to form a sound. The other uncles and aunts were statues, their breaths caught in their throats. Aunt Carol was the first to react physically. Her eyes, fixed on the woman in the black dress, began to tremble. The designer handbag in her lap slipped and fell to the floor with a soft thud. That thud shattered the bubble of reality. At table 8, Chloe, who was facing the VIP room, abruptly stopped laughing. Her eyes, which had been locked on David's, flickered over his shoulder, drawn by the sound from the room that should have been sealed off. When Chloe's eyes registered what was in front of her, all the blood seemed to drain from her body. Her face turned sheet white in a millisecond. Her wide eyes saw her mother frozen. Her uncle, her aunt, all her cousins, David's parents, and Bella standing tall in their midst in a blood-red dress, a cynical smile slicing through her soul. "Chloe, honey, what's wrong? You look pale," David asked, confused by the drastic change in his lover's expression. He frowned and turned his head to see what she was staring at. When David turned, he saw his entire family dynasty staring back at him. 20 pairs of eyes radiating horror, disbelief, and indescribable disgust. Crash. The glass of red wine Chloe had been holding slipped from her suddenly numb fingers. The crystal glass hit the porcelain plate on the table and shattered, splattering dark red liquid across the white tablecloth like fresh blood from a stab wound. The sound of breaking glass echoed through the silent restaurant, the opening gong for the hell on earth Bella had prepared. David shot up from his chair as if he'd been electrocuted. His mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. "Dad? Mom? Bella?" His voice was a pathetic, strangled squeak. Chloe trembled violently in her chair. She reflexively pulled her hands back, trying to cover her cleavage with a napkin, bowing her head deep in shame that burned through her body. Bella broke the silence. The click-clack of her stilettos echoed loudly on the marble as she crossed the threshold between the VIP room and the main dining area. She walked slowly, elegantly, head held high toward table 8. The eyes of the Harrison family followed her as if mesmerized. "Surprise," Bella said softly, right in front of David's still frozen face. "Did you like it, David?" "Bella, listen to me. This isn't what it looks like." David finally found his voice spewing the most pathetic cliché of a man caught red-handed. His hand reached out, trying to touch Bella's arm. "It's a misunderstanding. Chloe just needed someone to talk to. Don't you dare touch me with your filthy hands," Bella hissed, her low tone dangerously sharp. Her gaze was so intense that David stumbled back a step, bumping into his chair. "A misunderstanding," Bella smirked. She raised her phone, her thumb swiping a button on the screen. "Let's see just how big of a misunderstanding this is." In an instant, the light from the mini projector shot across the room, hitting the empty cream-colored wall directly behind David's table. A giant cinema-sized image appeared, turning the restaurant into a cruel courtroom. The first slide appeared a screenshot of the calendar from David's iPad. Our 1-year anniversary dinner. Location, L'Etoile. Organizer Chloe. Harrison, at iCloud.com. A collective gasp was heard from the family in the VIP room. A 1-year anniversary, Bella's voice echoed, taking complete control of the stage. Not as cousins Aunt Carol, not as business associates, but as secret lovers who sleep in the same bed. Bella swiped her phone screen. The second slide appeared bank transfer records from David's account to Chloe's, showing tens of thousands of dollars sent every month. For her son's college fund, David Bella mocked mercilessly. Or for the lingerie and Chanel bag that Chloe conveniently left at our house when she lied about her supplier meeting, Bella's mother-in-law could no longer stand. She slumped into her chair, clutching her chest, tears of shame and shock welling in her eyes. "David, what have you done? Oh dear God," she wept softly. Bella swiped her phone one last time. The third slide. The final devastating blow. A high-resolution screenshot of their iMessage conversation, complete with photos of them in a hotel room. A photo of a shirtless David hugging Chloe on a bed with white sheets. The words "lucky for us, Bella" is so easy to fool. She's so naive. "See you on our day, my love," were displayed for all to see. Undeniable. Irrefutable. The room exploded. The prior silence was replaced by a storm of chaos. Aunt Carol shrieked hysterically. She ran from the VIP room, lunging at her trembling daughter. Slap. A hard slap from Aunt Carol's hand connected squarely with Chloe's cheek, sending the woman in the black dress tumbling to the floor with her chair. "You shameless, worthless girl," Aunt Carol screamed, her voice breaking into sobs as she pointed at her daughter's face. "I raised you with dignity. David is your own cousin, your blood. Where is your brain, Chloe? Sleeping with a married man? Your own cousin. You've shamed our entire family." Chloe sobbed uncontrollably on the floor, covering her red face. "Not daring to look at her mother or her uncle. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry." Bella's father-in-law walked toward David with heavy steps, his chest heaving. The old man's face was crimson with rage, veins bulging in his neck. David looked down. "Dad, I'm sorry, Mom." A raw punch flew from his father's fist, landing squarely on David's jaw. David's athletic body buckled, and he fell crashing into a neighboring table. Glasses tumbled. Other restaurant patrons, no longer separated by the partition, were now standing and recording the scene on their phones. The restaurant manager was in a panic, but didn't dare intervene. "I did not raise an animal in my house," his father bellowed, pointing at David, who was now wiping blood from the corner of his mouth. "You destroyed your marriage. You slept with your own cousin. From this moment on, you are no son of mine. I am ashamed to have an heir like you," David cried, crawling, grabbing at his father's leg. But the old man kicked him away in disgust. The scene was pure chaos. The aunts were consoling Bella's mother-in-law, who was on the verge of fainting. Aunt Carol continued to curse Chloe. The Harrison family's honor had been forcibly stripped away, laid bare in public, without a single shred of dignity left. Bella stood aside directly under the spotlight of a crystal chandelier. Her arms were crossed, her face stoic. Not a single tear was in her eyes. She watched the stage of destruction she had created with absolute satisfaction. There were no screams from her, no curses. She let the family destroy each other from within. When David finally looked up at Bella from the floor with a broken, pleading gaze, Bella just tilted her head slightly, looking straight into her husband's eyes. "Happy first anniversary, David," Bella whispered, her voice, a deadly hiss, just loud enough for him to hear amidst the chaos. "I hope the celebration was worth the price." Bella turned her back. She walked calmly out of the restaurant, the sound of her stilettos echoing as she cut through the stunned crowd. She stepped out of L'Etoile and into the cold aspen night, leaving a raging inferno behind her. Tonight, the Harrison name had been reduced to ash, and Bella walked away the unrivaled victor. The morning sun illuminated Aspen with a warmth that contrasted sharply with the previous night's chill. Inside the luxurious house that had been a silent witness to 5 years of lies, Bella sat peacefully on the back patio. She wore a silk robe, sipping a warm cup of chamomile tea. The morning air felt fresh. There were no tears, no regrets. The invisible weight that had been on her shoulders had evaporated, along with the Harrison family name. From the front of the house came the sound of a car engine being shut off abruptly, followed by the screech of tires on the paving stones. Hurried, frantic footsteps approached the main entrance. "Bella, Bella, open the door." David's voice was hoarse and desperate from behind the double-layered mahogany door. He pounded on it loudly. Bella set down her teacup, rose gracefully, and walked slowly to the front door. When she opened it, the sight before her almost made her smirk. The dapper young executive from the night before now looked like a homeless man. His navy shirt was rumpled and stained with red wine. His expensive suit jacket was gone. His hair was a mess, his eyes red and swollen from a sleepless night of crying, and a large, purplish-blue bruise bloomed on his left jaw, the mark of his father's fist. The moment the door opened, David collapsed to his knees at Bella's feet. "Belle, I'm sorry. Please let me in. Let's talk. Please don't punish me like this." Bella took a step back, avoiding David's hand as it reached for the hem of her robe as if he carried a deadly virus. She looked down at the man she once adored. "There's nothing to talk about inside, David," Bella said, her flat tone cutting to the bone. "Besides, this house is now 100% in my name. I took care of the paperwork last week. You no longer have the right to set foot in my living room." David looked up, his eyes wide with disbelief. "What are you talking about? This is our house, Belle. This was my house bought with my inheritance before we were married. I was foolish enough to combine our assets, but my lawyer has already sorted it out," Bella replied coldly. She gestured with her chin towards the corner of the porch. Lined up there were 4 large, locked Samsonite suitcases. "All your things are packed. Your clothes, shoes, watches, even your toothbrush. Take it all and leave." "Belle, please," David wept, tears streaming down his bruised face. "It was a moment of weakness. Chloe seduced me. She was emotionally blackmailing me because she needed a man in her life. Don't make me even more disgusted with you by blaming your whore Bella." Cut in sharply, her voice rising an octave, silencing David's whining instantly. "You're both disgusting. Don't ever come back here again, or I'll have security drag you away." Bella slammed the mahogany door shut, engaged the double lock, and left David wailing on her front porch. 2 days later, the conference room at Mr. Sterling's law firm in Denver felt as cold as a morgue. Bella sat next to her lawyer, looking chic in a white blazer and sunglasses she had just removed. Across the table, David sat slumped in his chair, accompanied by his own lawyer, who seemed to be sweating profusely after reading the stack of documents before them. Mr. Harrison, Mr. Sterling began, his voice heavy with authority. My client, Mrs. Harrison, is filing for divorce on the grounds of adultery. And not just any adultery, but an incestuous relationship, witnessed by dozens of your own family members at L'Etoile restaurant. David closed his eyes, fighting back the wave of shame. Within this draft, Mr. Sterling continued, tapping a thick red folder is a demand for the division of marital assets. Given the evidence of tens of thousands of dollars being transferred monthly from your joint account to Miss Chloe Harrison without your wife's consent, which in the eyes of the law constitutes misappropriation of marital assets. Mrs. Harrison is entitled to full compensation. David's lawyer tried to interject. But, Mr. Sterling, my client also has a right to the shares in the Dermaglow Med Spa they built during their marriage. Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Sterling cut him off, tossing an audit report across the table. The initial capital for that clinic came entirely from Mrs. Harrison's personal funds. We have the historical transfer records. Your client was listed as a passive director in name only. Considering your client squandered marital assets on his illicit affair, any court would award Mrs. Harrison 100% ownership of the business. Mr. Sterling leaned forward. Or if you'd like to contest this in open court, we would be more than happy to present the text messages, the hotel photos, and the video of that night's intervention to a courtroom open to reporters. I'm sure the local tabloids would be very interested in the Harrison family's incest scandal. David's face went pale. His reputation was already destroyed in the eyes of his family. If this hit the media, he'd be finished. He turned to Bella with a pathetic, pleading look. Belle, are you really going to take everything from me? He whispered desperately. Bella looked straight at her soon-to-be ex-husband, her eyes devoid of empathy. I'm not taking everything, David. I'm just cleaning the filth out of my life. Sign the papers or we'll see you in court. With a hand that could barely hold the pen, David signed away his assets and the divorce agreement. That day, the arrogant man was officially, financially castrated. Aspen is not a large town for its elite circles. News travels faster than the mountain wind. Though it didn't make the papers, the gossip about the hellish night at L'Etoile became public knowledge within days. Amateur video recorded by other patrons showing David being punched by his father and Chloe screaming on the floor circulated exclusively from one high society group chat to another. David's social ruin was absolute. A week after the incident, he was summoned by his firm's board of directors. The multinational firm had a strict morality clause for its top executives. Citing the scandal, which was beginning to reach major clients and tarnish the company's image, David was forced to sign his resignation letter that day. He lost his high-paying job, his company car was repossessed, and he was kicked out of the corporate apartment in Denver. As he packed his belongings into boxes, not a single coworker would meet his eye or even say goodbye. Chloe's fate was even more tragic. Aunt Carol, who valued family honor above all else, threw Chloe out of her house that very night. There was no sympathy, no forgiveness from the Harrison clan. Chloe was treated like a contagious disease. The patriarch Bella's father-in-law even issued a family-wide decree forbidding anyone from helping or contacting her. With her reputation in tatters, the widow could no longer mingle in her social circles or at her son's elite school. The looks of disgust from other mothers made Chloe nearly lose her mind. She was forced to transfer her son to a public school, sell her Chanel bags and jewelry to survive, and rent a cheap rundown apartment on the outskirts of Grand Junction, hiding from the scorn of a society that recognized her. 2 months after that fateful dinner, reality bit David and Chloe hard. On a rainy night, David, now renting a small, stuffy room, drove to Chloe's apartment. Instead of a romantic reunion of two lovers finally free to be together, their meeting was just an exchange of venom. David, you have to transfer me money this month. The money from selling my bags is gone. My son's tuition is due, Chloe shrieked, her face, worn with no trace of the elegant beauty from that night. Transfer with what, Chloe? I'm unemployed. My savings were wiped out by Bella's lawyers. My car is about to be repossessed, David shot back, veins bulging in his neck as he shoved her. So you're just going to abandon your responsibility? I was thrown out by my own family because of you. My mother won't even speak to me, Chloe sobbed, beating on David's chest. You promised you'd leave Bella and give me a better life. Where is that promise? David grabbed Chloe's wrists and threw her off. Because of me, you were the one who was always whining for designer things, begging to be taken to fancy hotels. If you hadn't insisted on celebrating that stupid anniversary, Bella would have never found out. You ruined my career. You ruined my life. That night, under the leaking roof of a cramped apartment, the illusion of their forbidden love shattered. They realized their relationship was never based on true love. It was a disgusting combination of blind lust, sponsored luxury, and the thrill of a secret. When the money ran out and the secret was exposed, all that remained were two broken people who hated each other. David walked out into the pouring rain that night, realizing with absolute despair that he had traded a perfect wife, a brilliant career, and his family's honor for a cheap, worthless illusion. Regret crushed his chest, but he knew Bella would never look back. Months passed. By mid-April, the air in downtown Aspen was cool but filled with new energy. At a grand, modern two-story building, rows of congratulatory flower arrangements filled the parking lot. Congratulations on the grand opening of Dermaglow Med Spa's third location. Bella stood in the main lobby of her clinic, smiling brightly as she greeted VIP guests, loyal clients, and socialite friends. She wore an elegant ivory pantsuit radiating the aura of an independent, unbeatable CEO. Her face glowed, her eyes shone brightly. There was no trace of trauma or past shadows. She had officially become a divorcee a few months prior. Instead of crumbling, her new status became wings that carried her higher. Her clinic business, now 100% under her control, was booming. Female clients who knew her story only became more supportive, turning her into an icon of female strength in the city. In the middle of the event, her phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. "Belle, it's David. Congrats on the new clinic. I'm so sorry. I'm broken. Can we meet for just 5 minutes? I just want to apologize." Bella stared at the screen for a few seconds. The corners of her lips curved into a small, victorious smile. Without replying, she blocked the number and deleted the message, wiping it as clean from her inbox as her life was now clean of his name. She stepped out onto the clinic's second-floor balcony. The evening breeze gently blew through her hair. In the distance, the silhouettes of the mountains stood majestically against the orange and red sunset. Bella took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the air of freedom. She had proven that forgiveness is for God to grant, but delivering a harsh lesson and ensuring justice was served was her right as a wronged woman. She didn't destroy her husband. He destroyed himself. Bella just provided the stage for the whole world to watch. The best revenge, it turned out, wasn't just destroying your enemy, but rising from their ashes, moving forward, and living an extraordinary life. That evening, Bella shed no more tears. She simply smiled at her bright future, ready to conquer the world on her own terms. What do you guys think of Bella's power move? If you were in her shoes, would you A. Confront and divorce him immediately, or B. Play the long game and orchestrate a public takedown like Bella? Drop your choice in the comments below. Let's see which side wins.